No, you're absolutely right. But one should not forget that when you start out, you don't have much to give back. So you first have to build yourself. And it became clear to me that the more I build myself and the bigger I become, the more I can give back. Mm-hmm. So when I became Mr. Olympia 6 times, and Special Olympics called me and said, could you come and train our Special Olympians? Kids that are intellectually challenged. They don't have the best coordination. They have problems doing sports a lot of times. And we like to do a study on what effect weight training would have. Well, I was called to do that because I was Mr. Olympia. I was somebody. I was the number one authority in bodybuilding. That's why I was called. And so if I wouldn't have had that, I wouldn't have been able to inspire those young kids. There was 10 kids there, and we did this study for 3 days, and I trained them, and all kinds of great things happened. They got motivated, and that's what launched then with the International Special Olympic Committee, the idea, when I then eventually met my mother-in-law, Eunice Kennedy Shriver, who created Special Olympics. I told her about that experience that happened before I met her. And I told her, I said, I trained these 10 kids and they were really into this powerlifting and they loved it, especially when I gave them the confidence that they can do it. First, there were some of them that were scared and they were screaming and they were kind of really worried about the weight over their head and all this stuff. I said, but then eventually we stripped away that fear and we could see the breakthrough and all this. I think it could be very popular. She says, why don't you do it in Baltimore? We have a meet coming up. Let's try it in Baltimore. So we did it and it was a huge success. We did it in Washington, huge success. We did it in Miami, huge success. And then they adopted it in the next meeting internationally. And then it became an international phenomenon. So I all of a sudden became now not something that I was bargaining for or shooting for, or that was never my goal, became then the national coach, the world coach for Special Olympic strength training. Well, that, for me to go around now the country and the world to promote Special Olympics, not just powerlifting, but of course, being a celebrity eventually. I started doing movies, notice. I started traveling around to just start talking about equal opportunities. I started talking about issues about we got to get the Special Olympians also the right to have a job, the right to have health care, the right to have a place to stay and to live. And there's equal rights, basic equal rights that they don't have. People are prejudiced. So I started talking about those issues. Not in my wildest dreams did I ever think about that's what I would do in my life. But I was able to do that because I was a star in movies then and in bodybuilding and so on. So I think the more I gained of building myself, the more I was able to give back in a bigger way.
Right.
By the time I was, I campaigned for President Bush in 1988. And I talked to him on Air Force Two about training and about the President's Council of Fitness and about we got to get our kids again back in the schools, back to training, exercising every day. And he appointed me to be the chairman of the President's Council of Fitness. So now I'm going around to all 50 states promoting health and fitness in our public schools. So this is like one thing to the next happen. And that's why I mentioned in my book that everything that I've done up until that point, and I heard Sergeant Shriver, my father-in-law, talk at Yale University at a commencement speech. He said to the students, break that mirror that you always look at. Break that mirror that makes you always look at yourself, and you will be able to look beyond that mirror and to see the millions of people that need your help. You heard me right, that need your help. Have you ever thought about going out and helping? And I said to myself, that's exactly what's happening to me. So this was a long answer, but you were right when you said it was an evolution. So it starts out with me, and then slowly it becomes not just me, but we.
Right.
And so this is what happened to me. And then, as with everything, I have an addictive personality. I started getting addicted to it, to give something back, and it made me feel good. And I felt so rich and so good about myself that I was able to have this impact and to help kids to get, in schools to exercise, Special Olympians to train and to do powerlifting, to lift 500 pounds, which they never dreamt of lifting, and to go around and start after school programs, then eventually run for governor.